Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Liz Reddy. Today's top stories. A Waterford woman who assaulted an 86-year-old priest in his home has been sentenced to 5 years in prison. The organisers of the St Patrick's Day Parade in Waterford say they're constantly monitoring the situation in relation to the coronavirus. The company behind the North Quays project says the new proposed transport hub will allow for the creation of a 1-hour train journey from Waterford to Dublin. And in sport, Waterford FC will host Derry City at the RC on Friday in the Premier League. A Waterford woman who assaulted an 86-year-old priest in his own home has been sentenced to 5 years in prison at Kilkenny Circuit Court. Geraldine Sutton of Kilcone Park, Waterford, admitted burglary at the parochial house in Coon on August 18th, 2018. Adrian Harman reports.
Evidence was heard that on the night in question, Geraldine Sutton entered the parochial house without permission before asking Father John Delaney for €10. He gave her 20 and asked her to leave. Garda Patrick Keegan previously gave evidence that Sutton then went to the drawer and pulled a knife out and held it in a gesture to attack him. She then pulled the priest and he fell to the ground, cutting his head. Sutton stole €400. The 28-year-old had a crack cocaine habit at the time and has 51 previous convictions. Judge Cormac Quinn convicted the 28-year-old defendant of burglary and imposed a 5-year sentence with the final 2 years suspended. He also convicted her of assault causing harm and sentenced her to 2.5 years in prison and ordered the sentences run concurrently.
A school in County Meath has been closed as a precaution over the coronavirus. The primary school, which has around 360 students, says it's waiting for more information from the HSE. Meanwhile, efforts are continuing to trace anyone who came into contact with a woman from the east of the country, who's the second person in Ireland to have COVID-19. Health Minister Simon Harris says extra resources will be provided if the health service comes under more pressure.
We know we need more capacity in the Irish Health Service, but in the middle of an emergency like this could become, we can make decisions, and they're not pleasant decisions that have to be made from time to time in relation to prioritising things, in relation to perhaps the cancellation of elective surgeries, but we're nowhere near that point now. So yes, we have the ability to make decisions on the basis of clinical need.
The organisers of the St Patrick's Day Parade in Waterford say they're constantly monitoring the situation in relation to coronavirus. The government's not advising anyone to cancel any mass gatherings over COVID-19. However, the advice could change over the next fortnight. Dara Jane O'Sullivan works for every event.
We're in constant contact with the government departments and all the relevant kind of parties, so we are keeping an eye on it. And as of now, we're going to go ahead. Of course, the first priority is going to be public safety. We don't want to put anyone in a situation like that, but we're just going to have to keep an eye on it, because unless the risk is there, we'll be going ahead. So we'll just see what recommendations come out of the department now over the next few days.
The company behind the North Quays project says the new proposed transport hub will allow for the creation of a 1-hour train journey from Waterford to Dublin. The hub will be centred around a relocated railway station and new bridges. Director of Falcon Real Estate, Rob Cass, says Waterford has a real opportunity to lead Ireland with this transport hub.
You can use the train to get to Dublin. It'll be faster. You'll have an hour train to Dublin rather than an hour and a half on the car. It can be done. It needs a capital investment. If you put 2,000, 3,000 passengers on the train and you've got the tourists then coming into that, they're going to need homes, and those homes will then be within walking distance of the train station, which will mean if it's 1,000 to 2,000 homes in Ferrybank, and that's 400 million investment opportunity, which gives back about 100 million capital each year. I would say it's really 5 years off, but in a lifetime or a generation, that's not big.
Meanwhile, Éire Northern says it's been working closely with Waterford Council on plans for the North Quays. Barry Kenny, who's Corporate Communications Manager, says the project is key to the future of transport in Waterford.
We want to see the station move to form part of a new transport hub. It'll improve integration with other transport modes. It'll enhance rail connectivity and accessibility to the city for generations to come. So we've been working, as I say, with the Waterford City and County Council as part of that project. Things like signalling and a station layout and design have been developed, and it really is going to be an exciting development for the city, and one we're looking forward to progressing with the authorities as that project moves forward.
Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are meeting this afternoon for initial policy talks 25 days after the general election. Teams from the two sides insist it's not negotiation of a government but exploratory talks. Our political correspondent Sean Defoe reports.
Two teams led by Simon Coveney and Dara Cleary have been meeting since about 11 o'clock this morning, and it's expected the talks will continue for much of the day. A number of big ticket items are on the agenda, like housing, health, the economy and Brexit. Neither Leo Varadkar or Micheál Martin are in today's discussions, but will be briefed by their teams, and it's expected the two leaders will talk again after that. Some around Leinster House feel the threats posed by the coronavirus and Brexit will lead to government formation talks picking up pace, given the need for a strong government. However, Leo Varadkar's insisted he wants to head towards opposition, and that while his party will talk to everyone and help if needs be to form the next government, Fine Gael won't be part of it. We'll see if that attitude changes after today's exchange of policy.
Two Waterford councillors are running in the Shannon election. Fine Gael's John Cummins is on the Labour panel, while independent Joe Conway is on the Cultural and Educational panel. TDs, outgoing senators and councillors will vote between the 16th and 30th of March. Councillor Cummins says he's travelling the country canvassing for votes.
Over the last 3 days I've been in Wexford, Kilkenny, Carlow, Wicklow, Tipperary and Laois. I'm in Kildare today, so it is a difficult campaign trying to get across the length and breadth of the country, but look, that's what you have to do. You have to meet people face to face to ask them for their vote. Unless you meet them face to face, it's difficult to get votes, so that's my goal over the next number of weeks, and hopefully it'll pay off.
The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have met with young people at a mental health charity in Dublin. The British royal couple are also visiting Kildare and Meath on day 2 of their official trip to Ireland. Stephanie Rowan reports.
The young people at mental health charity Jigsaw in Temple Bar said it was surreal to meet the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. The British royal couple spent around 30 minutes chatting to people who run and use the service. Lauren Russell said they quickly put her at ease and were very interested in her story.
They really listened and they were asking questions about how did I find the stigma, and that was a thing for me. Like that, I wasn't always open about me going, especially at the start of my journey coming to Jigsaw.
While volunteer Josh Graves said the royal couple were more ordinary than he thought.
I just found it weird because you hear all these horror stories of the protocol and stuff that you're not meant to have any other contact apart from a handshake or whatever. But like in mid conversation, like William would put his hand on my shoulder and just engage, which was normal, I suppose, for any other humans. But when you're meeting the royals, obviously it's a bit different. You expect probably different circumstances.
The couple are now at another youth charity in County Kildare before they move on to Chagas in County Meath to chat with farmers. Photographers there have been warned not to use flash photography at this event in case they scare the cows. Stephanie Rowan at the Media Centre for the Royal Visit in Dublin.
Students in Waterford have heard what it's like to live in direct provision. A rally in Thinking was held at Mount Sion to look at what they can do to improve the current system. Around 200 pupils from Edmund Rice schools across the country attended the event. Zubair Khan goes to Deer Park School in Cork and lives in direct provision. He hopes he can stay in Ireland.
Yeah, I would love to stay here, as in I'm involved in cricket in the sport, and I hope I'll play for Ireland. And recently I got invited in an Ireland camp and I am part of the squad. So I hope I'll make it big, and if I go on, I think the dream is gonna be gone together.
WLR Sport. With thanks to the Waterford Viking Marathon. Register now at waterfordvikingmarathon.com.
Waterford FC will host Derry City at the RSC on Friday in the Premier League. Blues captain and goalkeeper Brian Murphy says they'll have to cut out the mistakes they made in the home games against Bohemians and Shamrock Rovers in recent weeks.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, obviously, with the Sligo game being postponed last week. We've had plenty of training, but look, we need to kind of get back to hopefully get a positive result, really. The last two games we've switched off for 5 minutes in the game, in both games, the last two games, and we've been punished. So hopefully, we've worked hard this week in training, that we can rectify the mistakes and push on Friday night.
And Matt Keane will have reports from that game here on WLR. Tottenham boss Jose Mourinho says he's desperate to bring silverware to the club. His side welcome Norwich this evening in the FA Cup, with the winner going through to the last 8 of the competition. Republic of Ireland striker Troy Parrott will be on the bench for the hosts. Holders Manchester City continue their defence of the trophy with a trip to Hillsborough to face Sheffield Wednesday tonight, while there's a derby as Leicester host Birmingham. In Gaelic games, 9-time All-Ireland winner with Kilkenny, Tommy Walsh believes that the Waterford players have bought into Liam Cowell's set-up this year. The day should travel to the LIT Gaelic grounds on Saturday night to face Limerick in a repeat of last year's league final. Tommy Walsh says Liam is trying to put his own stamp on the team.
He has the success from the under 20 and the under 21 with Tipperary. He's probably around a long time, even though he's a relatively young man. He's great pedigree, he won minor with Tipperary as well. So when you have a manager coming with success, it kind of gives you belief straight away. And the lads seem to be drumming in behind him there this year. It seemed to be kind of hard to beat even last Sunday when they were down to 13 men. They were still thereabouts and nearly snuck it at the end. So he laid down his marker by picking a new panel this year, and he kind of set out a stall that, listen, you're in it or you're not, and the players definitely seem to be running behind him.
WLR will broadcast the game with commentary team Kieran O'Connor and Fergal Hartley, thanks to George Corbett Skoda. Club Daisha have a Waterford City launch tonight in the Granville Hotel starting at 8 p.m. Special guests include Waterford senior hurling manager Liam Cowell, along with football manager Benji Whelan, ladies football manager Kieran Curran and Camogie chair Isha Murphy. Former Waterford players will also be in attendance. There were some Waterford medal winners at the Munster Indoor Games in Nina yesterday in athletics. Gold medals were won by Sean Malarkey, CBS Dungarvan, Clodagh Monaghan Water Park, Annabelle Walsh Newtown School, Corey Scanlon St Augustine's, Hannah McGrath St Declan's Kilmacthomas, Owen Aylward Abbey Community College and St Augustine's Minor Boys Relay Team. Silver medals went to Paula Igwe and Libby Murphy St Angela's, Andrew Scanlon St Declan's, Ty Connolly Abbey Community College, and bronze medals were won by Petra Igwa, St Angela's, Owen Aylward and Keelan Roach Abbey Community College, Sarah Slevin Arts Scoil na Déise and Rose Sheridan Abbey CCC and St Augustine's Minor Girls Relay Team. Sports news on WLR thanks to Waterford Viking Marathon.